Hey guys, what's going on? Kurt Capra, good afternoon. Hope you guys had a great trading day. Here with you for the daily recap on this Friday, June 30th, last day of the second quarter. And as we look ahead to next quarter, everything pretty much today played out as expected. Market really didn't go anywhere after the gap up. You know, Went sideways most of the day. There really wasn't much action here intraday. You can see on the 15-minute, we opened, as I said, with the gap up, pulled back a little, found support in the gap fill, grinded higher, and that's really where things finished off. Got a little bit of a sell-off there into the end of the day, but overall, again, not a whole lot of action one way or the other, just a real tight inside day. On the S&P, the Qs, similar inside day here. Get this out of the way so you can see it a little better. But inside day, really nothing going on there. And also with the Russell, same thing. This one, although holding that 8 and 21 once again. But as I said, we are now at the end of the first half of the year and looking forward into the next. And with that in mind, let's take a quick look here at the weekly, see how things are setting up. And looking at the Russell, the small caps here, they look set up well for a breakout. Now, of course, looks are one thing, action is another. So what we need to see is a break over these recent highs in order to get that action going to the upside. Unless that happens, there's really not much to do other than wait and see what happens. So just know that if we do break over these recent highs, that's going to ignite us into a brand new move higher, new 52-week highs, brand new breakout here. So that could ignite a move higher here for the IWM into the second half of the year. Looking at the S&P, this also has been uptrending quite well, and quite frankly doesn't look like there's anything to be worried about at this point. It might pull back a little bit, although I don't see that at the moment necessarily, but it might pull back a little bit here, overall holding that 21-day and continuing to push higher. So this continues to look very healthy as we look forward into what may happen for the second half of this year. And even if we take a quick look here at the monthly, right, what you'll also see is a very controlled move up, right? We broke out here the end of last year, beginning of this year, and most of this year has been a consolidation for the most part, right? And now we'll see if we don't get going here higher. But again, monthly here, very controlled. There's no extreme greed at this point. There's no wide range candles indicating momentum. So point is, I will be continuing to look for this to move higher eventually. Not here right now, as we're trying to figure out the next direction, but longer term, it does appear as though we want to go higher. And then, of course, the Qs here. Let's take a look at the weekly. You can see that they had been the strongest of the markets, leading the charge higher through the later part of 2016 into 2017, where other markets were sideways. This was moving higher, and so for it to take a little bit of a breather at this point is not out of the question. In fact, it's more likely, especially seeing how things have been rotating out of tech and into financials and other areas, it wouldn't be a surprise to see that be the trend for the second half of the year, where yes, the Qs probably do still rise, but you start to see greater strength in the small caps, IWM, as well as the S&P. So that's what I'll be looking for as we go forward here. Speaking of financials, XLF here did gap higher, pulled back once again here today, but really overall just consolidating. There's no real damage done with what happened here over the last 2 days. It's just holding after taking out the prior high on this gap. So we'll see if it can continue higher and retest that 25.50 level. As far as some individual names, Nike we talked about gapping up big on the earnings and Amazon news. It continued to move higher as discussed in the morning call, so hopefully you were able to capture some of that. And the reason I was bullish on this, at least from the open, was simply because you had people caught, right? Anyone that was short this move down, or anywhere in between, right? They were immediately losers when we opened here today. And so that created the effect of them running to cover those shorts and also new demand coming in on the positive news, and that together led to such a strong push higher here in Nike. So again, hopefully you were able to capture that. As far as just some of these other names, high beta tech, Apple really didn't do anything. Looks like it's still vulnerable. Maybe it comes down a bit more if it can't hold these lows, but overall below these moving averages, it's going to have some pressure from overhead, but at the same time, it's got these lows here as support, so we'll see. Facebook really didn't do much of anything either, although it's looking a little better in the sense that it's holding the 50-day. You got Tesla, which is right smack on top of the 21-day, so that's looking constructive or bullish overall. Amazon, this one was under a little bit of pressure, but also above the 50-day here for the moment. We'll see if it can continue to hold that, but it did close down here on the low, so we'll see how that plays out over the coming weeks. And then Netflix also sitting on these prior lows, so it's going to be interesting to see whether or not these names can hold those levels of support. As far as banks, like I said, JP Morgan just diving into some of these individual names, held up well here today. Little inside bar. We'll see if it clears those highs and gets going here next week. Goldman pulled back a little bit more, but still overall okay. The other space that I would suggest keeping an eye on is the transports. Transports have been bullish. They had a strong day here today. Airlines looking good. Obviously FedEx had some positive earnings and is doing well. That looks like it can continue to move higher. Also the rails. So keep an eye on these transportation names as they do look like they're getting set up for a push higher. But with that said, guys, markets are half day on Monday, closed on Tuesday for the July 4th holiday. If you taking off and making it an extended weekend, enjoy, rest up, have a great time with friends and family, and we'll be back here with you on Monday. But like I said, make sure you take the time to enjoy with, as I said, friends and family. It's not all about trading, and it's extremely important that you take the time away from the screens to really enjoy what trading allows us the ability to do. So with that said, have a great weekend. Talk to you on Monday, and be well.